Boom, sneak attack.
There was no sneaking.
Live. Yeah, we actually go through the whole intro now. We used to just surprise us in the middle of it somewhere, but now it goes through the whole thing. Hey everybody, how is everyone doing? This is our we are the Give Me the Loot podcast, and this is our representation in gaming 2024. We do this. We've done this every year since we started the podcast.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, we've done. I don't think we always did it as a live stream. I think the first one we did as a podcast where we just recorded it.
We did talk,
and then put it out. But every year we just kind of tap in and see how representation in the TTRPG and gaming space is kind of going. Today I have with me an esteemed panel of guests. I will let them introduce themselves in Jazz first, this order. I don't know.
Hey everybody, I'm back. It's me. I'm Jazz, and my hair, while I was gone, my hair got long enough to actually start to look like my character art, so that's cool. But I play Fate on the Give Me the Loot podcast, and yeah, I'm here to tell everybody about how the gaming space is beginning to suck less and less every year. That's nice.
I'm Jamie. I play Eldrin on Give Me the Loot podcast, and yeah, I feel like I haven't done one of these in like a month, probably because I haven't. So hey, I'm back. I'm here to talk.
That's great. It's fantastic.
And friend of the show.
Friend of the show. I'm Wendell, Anthony's brother. I don't know which way you are on the whatever. I'm here to bring the old head vibe, talk about the back in my day, because back in my day, black people had to use separate dice when we played TTRPG. There was segregated dice. Anyway, that's what I'm here for.
Had the black dice with the white pips.
No idea.
Oh Lord! And I am Anthony, who plays Baba Tuni on the Give Me the Loot podcast. I will be moderating and kind of talking and just kind of honestly, this is just gonna be a conversation. Turner's out for a little bit, and we're gonna be kind of just figuring out how we're gonna do the hosting stuff. But we're definitely just going to have a conversation, and feel free as we talk, join in the conversation in the chat. We'll definitely need that input for the stream as well. So I guess I'd like to start off just saying and get everybody's I'll start off saying and get everybody's feeling on like this year from 2023. What do we feel? Do we feel that representation got better, got worse, stayed the same? Any kind of big moments in that space, like and anything that stands out this year as that was big. Like I think last year the one we did for 2020 at the beginning of 2023, there was like lots of controversy, D&D controversy to talk about and things like that. And I think this year it's like felt kind of calm and stagnant to me, like not a whole lot that I can remember. But what y'all's feeling, and maybe I'm forgetting stuff.
I'm trying to remember, does the Hadozi incident roll over into this?
That was last year.
We talked okay, that's all. I couldn't remember exactly where it fell at. I was like, I feel like it was probably last year, but I was like, maybe it was right after. Okay, so that was like the last big thing I recall. I feel like after all of that chaos, that's fair. But even like going into 2020, like back into 2023, like I feel like because of all of the fallout and all of the discussion, like I feel like the landscape kind of calmed down, and like you're seeing like some of the adjustments from all of that discourse. over the last year or so, and some of it positive, some of it up for debate, such as my hair. But yeah, I can't really think of anything like huge that happened.
And the boy George hat.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah, shout out to Turner on the hat.
What you want? Anything? Oh, my bad.
Jazz was still rolling, I think.
Oh, I'm just determined to get Jamie to talk this time.
What?
I want Jamie's opinions on
things. As a regular cast member, Jamie should talk before I do.
As a regular cast member, I mean, I don't really. I can't think of anything major that happened in the last year that really changed the landscape or anything like that. Like, no. I have nothing.
Well, succinct.
Yep.
What anything sticks out to you, Wendell, that happened this year?
I'm kind of with Jamie and Jazz, man. Is and you. I think stagnant probably wouldn't be the word I'd use. Status quo, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
No, you know what? No, I wouldn't even. I would say incremental, because I don't think we all can be conceivably aware of everything transpiring in the gaming and TTRPG industry. So there are going to be things we missed. And so I think there are creators of color, LGBTQ creators, creators with disabilities, and so on, that are coming into the space and have in the last few years, including last year. And so you're looking at this incremental, maybe even imperceptible progress, or progress, as they say abroad. That we're moving in that direction slowly. I think this year, which is what we're going to talk about, and I don't want to completely, but this year I think we're going to see I don't want to call it a watershed. That's probably overstating things. We'll see more of a difference this year. I'll just say that for now. I'll expound on that later.
Yeah. But yeah, like to piggyback on kind of everything. I definitely, like I said, think it's been status quo. I think is definitely a very good way to put it. It's just, and I guess is that kind of par for the course, is where we have kind of these we're kind of at lows, and then we have like these seemingly highs, and then we kind of plateau for a little bit, and then something happens and we go back up. Does this feel like the normal pattern of like few years of you start out at terrible, and then somebody gets angry, and we go up and we get better, and we go, and then we kind of, as people, we kind of hit a plateau, and then people realize, all right, we need a little more improvement. We've been the same for a little bit. Like, let's do more.
And the zeitgeist in general. I mean, it's the TTRPG gaming space is simply a microcosm of
society.
Yeah. Society at large. So I think you hit it. I mean, you hit it dead on. That's nail on the head on the nail. Head, give it. No, whatever. There's tools involved.
Cool. Hopefully not too many. We tried to weed a lot of those out of the community at this point. So
I see what you did.
Tools.
Is that a help? Is that so? Are we? If we agree that we're kind of in a plateau, like, are we in a healthy space? Because I think,
Say it again. Are we in a healthy space?
Are we in a healthy space? Like, is this plateau safe? Like, where could we go from here? Where would we see kind of the next mountaintop being from where we're at?
Man, it's hard to see the mountaintop from the valley, but I do feel like this place that we found her at within the community is one that's stable. Like, I don't like, a lot of times when you see things that make progress, like you make it to the thing that, or at least you feel like you've gotten some type of progress towards what it is that you're chasing, a more perfect community. And then, but like a lot of times I feel like we make those types of that type of progression, and then like the community is still really volatile, and like that peace or that progress is in jeopardy. And I don't feel like that currently. Like I don't feel like there's like a large movement to try and like make us regress back to what we were doing before. It feels like we've literally actually hit just a new normal at this point. Does that make sense? And so because of that, I actually do really like the fact that there's not a whole lot going on. Like there was all of this uproar and discourse to make the changes, and then the changes were made, and everybody's like, bet. It's still not perfect, but it was such a huge jump in the right direction that any like even little small like correction back, or not correction, but just any small changes that even feels like a tiny regression, and like it doesn't feel like it has the ability to like destabilize and go all the way back to where it was before. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I get that. Anybody else want to add anything?
Yeah, go on. So I think Jazz brings up a good point, because one of the words in my head was commonplace, where you're seeing diversity, equity, inclusion become more commonplace in the gaming, in the gaming world. But you're going back to actually what I said about this space being a microcosm of society. I think that's a little bit different when it comes to this country and a few other countries, where you have a subset of individuals who are bound and bent and determined on regression, on taking us backward. And I don't think that. I think that particular subset of individuals in the gaming space is a minority of a minority of a minority. They don't have the power and or the wherewithal to actually regress the gaming space. So unlike, you have certain places like, obviously living in Texas, we have we have a government. I'm not trying to get into politics. This is really tangential, but we have a government that is one side of our government
is our thing.
His government is insistent on trying to move us backward to a better time, and we know that's BS is what that is. But I don't think you're going to have that in the gaming space. I think that ship has long since sailed out of the barn. So we don't have to worry about that. To just kind of piggyback on what Jazz was saying, and then just further my comment at the end of the year, I think we're in a comparative space. In other words, I think things are better, but we have not reached the superlative space. Things are not the best that they could be. So I'll shut up now.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think just to kind of, I don't want to say push back, but like going to and maybe going to them back to back, like really kind of made it more obvious to me. But like going to Gen Con right after being at DreamCon, Gen Con felt, for lack of a better way to put it, very white. It did. It just and so like I would like, and mind you, they're very different cons, right? Like those are very different nerds, right? Like I'm not like DreamCon is very anime first, like that's the nerd that you're dealing with, like, and that is a space that I think is that Black people and kind of diversity has been in a little longer, I guess. I don't know, but
except actually on screen.
But true, but in the fandom, like these cons are about fandom more so than the actual 100%, content. 100%. Yeah, 100%. And so the fandom is still, like I said, anime we've kind of been fans of anime for a long, in my experience, and it's been accepted in that fandom a little bit more, and kind of made our own spaces there too. Like, but I'd like to see that on the D&D side, or at least feel that on the D&D side. I know a lot of people who are in the TTRPG space, people of color and diversity groups and stuff like that, but I'd like to see that reflected in kind of those big cons and stuff too. Like, how do we do that? I mean, and not that we're going to fix that here, but what are, like, if we're talking about areas of if we're talking about areas of improvement, if we're talking about, where we can go from this plateau, like that feels like one of them, right? Like, and I don't know if, like, we did a panel and there, and I'm grateful for the people who showed up at our panel, but there weren't very many. And our panel was what our panel was about diversity and that kind of stuff. And so, and you could blame it on us not being known, but I feel like we're not known at DreamCon either, and we still get 50. We still fill the room, fill a small room.
To your point, two entirely different audiences. Two entirely different audiences, and you have one audience that is supportive of and hungry for that, and you have another audience that is they're either unaware. Oh, there is a nephew. I have spotted a nephew. You have you have another audience that is unaware of unaware that. Jiraiya, good night, man. I'll see you later. They just, I mean, to quote a famous man once said, they either don't know, don't show, I don't care about what's going on this side of the TTRPG, and so it's just to paraphrase, I should say. But it's just like, I mean, that's what you said. It's just two different audiences.
Yeah, I see that. I hadn't thought about it from that perspective of that. We're speaking about diversity and inclusion in a place where everybody wants to be included, right? Or everybody's looking for that, right? They're looking for that, I get that. And so it wasn't necessarily on anyone's agenda at Gen Con to you didn't go to Gen Con for that specifically, whereas DreamCon is kind of that. That's kind of what the panels are at DreamCon. So I get that. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And so I'm just like curious on how, and maybe it's just being there more at Gen Con and even other cons, and kind of just bringing those, teaching people, I guess, how to do that, be in those spaces. I guess I don't know what the answer is. I'm rambling. I feel like I'm rambling because I don't really know the answers.
No. I mean, no. That's like you said. We're not going to resolve the world's ills here today. But as you said, you've got people who have a mindset of, well, they see our they see our panel on the schedule, on the program, and they say, oh, well, this doesn't apply to me. I'm not worried about that. On to the next thing that I want to actually see. Oh, I want to go see, Todd Stashwick at this panel, or whoever. I mean, I'm sorry.
Friend of the show. We love Todd. He's been.
What's up, Todd?
Don't sue me, Todd. I ain't gonna just check you out there like that. But they don't, they look at it and say, oh, well, this doesn't apply to me. And you had that same situation in corporate settings, company settings, where before companies said, hey, everybody, you need to attend the mandatory DEI, training. People like, oh, well, that doesn't really apply to me, so I'm not going to worry about that. It was optional, and people didn't understand inherent and subconscious bias that ultimately either did exclude people or made people feel excluded, from certain spaces, and people didn't. It's just now in 21st century that people are still getting that. I mean, you look at this. Sorry, I'm talking about going on and on and on. That's me.
Go ahead.
I'm completely clear. Everybody else can leave. We had, a situation where Black people, people of color, whether that's Hispanics, Asians, Pacific Islanders, whoever it has, we've been in the United States for hundreds of years. Okay, the country's only been a country for a little over a couple of hundred, and you still have every day you should just say, "Oh, look, the first Black X, the first Hispanic X." It's always, "Oh, look, this is the first Black person to ever win an award, this award at the freaking Grammys." How long have we been singing? Oh, here, look, the first Black governor of this state. And that state's been a freaking state since the early 1800s. And you're still getting these first throughout history. So it's just like, come on, man. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, that was just definitely. I was just, like I said, thinking of differences, and like I said, they were literally back to back for us, like one weekend and then the next almost. And it was hard not to compare them. And so, and just compare my experiences in them, and I wasn't sure if it was just me lining them up back to back, where they actually substantially different, and if they are different, how do we move one to be more like the other, if that is a good thing? Because but representation in any other areas other than TRPGs, like I know we briefly talked about, I know Jazz had a hypocritical statement he needs to make about
that's fair.
But
I do need to get into that, but before, I do want to jump back to what we were talking about with DreamCon and Gen Con. One last thing I want to add to that real quick.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think you lost my train of thought when you brought that up. And it was that I think maybe us personally, I don't feel like we try to deliver different messages at each, but I felt, I looking back on it now, I almost feel like it was disingenuous of us. Wait, I don't know. However those words go, disingenuous of us to change up our delivery method of that same message, basically, because we were talking about the same basic thing at each location or at each con. But I think we try to curate our message to the audience instead of just being ourselves and doing, giving our type of show, giving our information the way we give it. And I think, I don't know, I feel like maybe it might have been received more if we were being more organically ourselves at Gen Con. Does that make more sense?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not sure I entirely agree with that. Simply because I think there is value in a broader message and a broader appeal. If you look at a situation where, going back to what I said, where people say, "Oh, this doesn't necessarily apply to me, so I'm skipping that." But if we're appealing more broadly, somebody might say, "Oh, you know what? Maybe I do want to find out how to do this." Maybe they just, and it could be, whatever. Maybe they just had somebody who's LGBTQ join their group, or whatever the situation happens to be. And they say, "Hey, this would not normally appeal to me, but here it is." I'm just thinking that I don't think there's anything wrong with what we did. I understand where you're going. Don't get me wrong. I don't think there's anything wrong with the way we approach things. I think we were just trying to be more broad to what we perceive that audience to be. And I don't think we were wrong on who the audience is. But maybe I'm wrong.
I also want to be very fair to Gen Con, to anybody watching. Two things. One, there was a whole event for people of color that was earlier in the week that none of us could make as well. Like, I don't want to pretend like there weren't things that they
there were
did.
no people of color. Yeah, there were plenty of people of color there.
And there were. I don't want to. I don't want to pretend like that was the case. I'm just comparing panel to panel, like just that, right? Like, because that's a panel that we've done at both, even though we didn't do them the same panel back to back, but we've done that panel at both DreamCon and at Gen Con. And it was our first panel at DreamCon and our first panel at Gen Con, and me just comparing the differences, right? Like Gen Con did have stuff.
The conjured German shepherds on me.
It's not true. It's not true, Gen Con. We don't reject our panel submission because of
somebody at Gen Con is like, yep, cross them off the list.
But yeah, I was just comparing kind of the differences between the two panel turnouts and the kind of even though the message and stuff was very similar.
I will. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But yeah, I will say, just speaking back on like even kind of some of the positive differences in between Gen and leaning towards Gen Con in this statement. But that day that I did the full Fate cosplay around Gen Con was such a crazily like positive experience for me, because the reception I got from that I did not expect. Honestly, like, because we had been at Gen Con and so many people were cosplaying there. You know, it seemed like, you know, it's just part of the ordinary thing. Like, you know, there was like, all right, everybody here is cosplaying. But then to get to Gen Con, and like you said, because of the, I would say, not as diverse crowd there at Gen Con, the people who were, or at least people that I felt were true allies, or at least people who were really excited to see that type of diversity at Gen Con, like, were coming by in droves. Like, hey, oh my God, people were asking me for cosplay tips and where to get where to get costume pieces, and asking for makeup stuff. And I had someone to go talk to Tori because, you know, I don't know, she set it all up. But like there was just a certain level of reception that I really wasn't expecting. But to get that was actually really, really encouraging for the future of what's going on with both at Gen Con and just at the center of the community in general. So like, you know, like I said, that's I think that high of what that was is kind of what's been carrying me through the rest of the content year within the TTRPG space. Like, remembering that happened, I was like, no, this is, we're at a good space with this, at least right now.
That's amazing. That's dope. Yeah, and like I said, I definitely want to disclaimer all of what I'm talking about to just the panel, because I was only there for a day. Like, I literally like flew in one night and flew out. Yeah, and flew out. Yeah, next day. So I wasn't even there for y'all cosplaying.
Yeah, I missed it too. So
yeah. So
like I had people of all varieties, older, younger, women, men, black, white, like everybody was just like, hey, this black guy in a costume is dressed up as a mage. And it was just like, everybody's like, dope. And it's just like, everybody's coming over asking who I was with, what we were doing. I had a young lady who stopped and asked. Had a young lady stop and ask because she was dating an African American guy. She was like, he wants to do stuff like this, but he never felt comfortable doing it because he doesn't see anybody like this here. So like, just telling her, like, you know, she wanted to take a picture of me so she could send it to him, so that way she could encourage him to come and to participate in stuff like that also. So it was
thank you, Wendell. It's not happening. Yeah, and it was encouraging to have that happen at DreamCon too, where people were like, yo, and it was more, it wasn't necessarily on the diversity tip, but it was more on the D&D tip. It's like, yo, I've never done D&D, or I know somebody who's trying to get into it. Like, and like one person was like, my dad was really, he didn't understand how he could get into D&D, but like y'all putting that hip hop spin on it really made me want to, or made him want to really try and do it, and you gave me ideas on how I can make this my own. Like, that was really encouraging, really awesome. And Professor Flattop was talking about the turnout at DreamCon was legendary. It was, but Gen Con is actually bigger than DreamCon. It doesn't feel like it because it's in a larger space.
I think he meant, was he specifically talking about our panel, the turnout for our panel? Right?
Oh yes, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, never mind. Yes, it was. Yeah, it was amazing.
Not the whole con in general. I think it's just.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. But yes, it was like the our con, like, and it was really dope to see. And so that's what I was comparing. Was that's what I was so interesting to compare, was like the differences between like the people show up, and like even our, like, Professor Flash, you went to the first one because that's the panel we did, was our first one. So it was just a difference, and like, as a difference in the crowd. And so I wasn't sure, just kind of thinking, like, what could we do better? What could we do better to say, like, hey, we want to do this kind of content, and we want people to come and see it. Is it us seeking out people more? Like I said, I think we have a better turnout if we hit the meeting there, or the event they had on Thursday, right? The people of color event they had on Thursday. Like I think
you got to network. You got to put the word out.
But I think, and like I said, it's also the natural like differences in the crowd and what they're looking for. But like we didn't do that for DreamCon. Like we were at that first con, we were looking at each other like, man, I hope somebody shows up. we were so glad to see Professor Flattop there before us. We were like, oh, there's one person. Yes, that guy. like, having someone there in the room before us was like, that feeling was so amazing.
So
huge.
Like,
cool. Like, all right, we at least get one person to talk to. Like, and if we just sit here and have a conversation with that guy, we will have done something. Like, and so to actually then have people trickle in and come in, it was like, oh, this is great. We can actually do this. We had no clue.
They filled the room up on the first one too, so that was
we had no clue. Like in the second one, we actually kind of had an expectation of like, okay, cool, we want to kind of do better than we did last time, and like we had some kind of expectation. But the first one, we're just like, we don't know who's gonna show up. This is an anime convention, and we're talking about D&D. We have no clue if anybody cares.
The second one, we was all, we were all like, hey, do you know who we are? We need a bigger space. Can we get a bigger space?
That wall moves, right? We can move that wall, right?
There's somebody in the other room. Go ahead and get them out of there. We need.
They don't need that.
4 and 5.
This is us.
4 and 5. It's us.
Yeah. So what else could we? Okay, you want to talk about the your issue, Jazz?
Yeah. Because I mean,
or not? Is it an issue or not an issue?
It's an issue. I don't know if it's necessarily my issue. But yeah, so the conversation around diversity in gaming, not just TTRPG gaming, but gaming in general, brought me back to this conversation that I've had with my children for the last few months. And I've seen it more and more on like other social media platforms where gamers younger than us, right? Especially black gamers younger than us, are annoyed as fuck with my haircut. Okay, the Killmonger haircut is like what they call it now. Although it existed before him, there were cartoon characters, video game characters that had this haircut. Plenty of time before. I can't think of like a large list of it, but I can think of like Static Shock used to rock this haircut back in the cartoon. Echo on League of Legends had it before Black Panther dropped. There were other characters that had this haircut, but it has taken on this weird life of its own since Black Panther, and because Michael B. Jordan made that haircut look so cool, that it has now become this new default for African-American male representation in pretty much all video games and a bunch of other forms of media. And it's super fucking annoying for them to see that every time. Like, they're livid with the shit. Like, it's crazy. And like at first I used to I would argue with them like, no man, that's a cool haircut. Like, and they're like, yeah, okay, it was cool when like Phoenix and Valorant had it, or like when Echo had it, because like I hadn't seen too many people with it. It's now literally the default haircut for the black guy in Power World.
Well,
which is one of the fastest growing games in the world right now.
Isn't it just a turn on the
afro or the
big tough black dude? Remember that was the thing? Everybody had the big tough black dude that started, I don't know, early 80s. Then you got into once the afro started coming back, all of a sudden all characters had afros. I mean, like me, it's a new haircut I'm thinking about getting. It's brand new. It was popularized by Travis Kelce. He like shaves the sides down or something on his head. It's kind of like I guess he kind of fades it or something. I don't know how to explain it, but I know it's brand new and he's the first one to get it. So I'm thinking about getting that myself.
Yeah, his girlfriend invented the dance, and
hair talk.
Yeah, his girlfriend invented a dance and taught it to a bunch of football fans as well.
Oh yeah, they kind of
where they surf with some swag. That's what they do.
Yeah, they move around rhythmically. It's like waves going.
Yeah, it's the best thing since the wave. She invented it. It was crazy.
No doubt.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, but I'm just glad that we've had the opportunity to see what these very creative individuals could just throw out. It's just, man, it's magnificent. I'm just glad to be a part of it, man.
Yeah. So drinking brings up the point of people love to complain about what's popular, which I agree with. They
True.
do. But I think what happens with things like the Killmonger haircut is that after a while it starts to feel like placating. It starts to feel like being like, oh, we know the blacks will love this. Like that's what it starts to feel like. The black people will love this because we put the haircut in, right? Like,
and it's not just the fact that they put the one haircut. It's the fact that in these games nowadays, it's the only haircut option. Like at least back in the day, it used to be like, it was just the fade, or then it was just the fro, or maybe you got both. But now it's just this.
Right. You got cornrows.
Every time you got a black hair.
Studios. Shout out to Larian Studios, Baldur's Gate 3. They got some nice hair options up in there. So that's got to give them that.
They did their thing. I mean, it took them how long to make the game, but they did make sure to get it right though. So I'm not mad at it.
6 years.
The longest beta.
Yeah, it was. Remember, I told you I wasn't gonna buy it till the actual game was out, and so I did not buy it until the end of last year.
Yeah, and so yeah, I think that that's what happens when is that when you start to do this thing, it's almost like when there was a time I guess I want to say 90s. It may have started before this, but where anything you wanted to sell to kids, you just made it rap. Just rap on it. Like you don't want kids to do drugs, rap about it. Yeah, I figured it did. I figured it did, but I wasn't exactly sure. I was only 1 through 5.
Here in the Metroplex, are we not familiar with Trophy Nissan?
Yeah.
that used to be they did a commercial in the mid 80s. This was after the Bears won the Super Bowl and they did the Super Bowl Shuffle. That's what it was based on. Yeah. And they did a whole rap. This commercial was an entire rap, and that was their hook. Was Trophy Nissan, and so that's a long time. You want to sell something, it's especially you want to get black folks up in there, let's rap to them. Gotta rap to them.
And eventually, like you said, you keep doing it, and then eventually you end up in a place where you have McDonald's having a dude singing an R&B song to some chicken nuggets. Like that's where we end up.
That started in the 70s. That started in the 70s.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it's just that's what happens. It's like it feels like you're just trying to market to us and not actually appreciating the fact that this is a hairstyle that I think you might like. It's just you put this in here to sell me something, and that's what it starts to feel like. And so
when I'm scrolling through the character customization options, and there's 30 that can be applied to numerous other male characters. And then when I'm like, okay, I want to make a character that is black male or just Afrocentric, and I only see one that might fit my character in the way that I have them in my mind, like just the one, but I can look at everything else in here and apply them to everyone else. That's the part where it becomes frustrating. So I understand my children's frustration. As a game designer, you've clearly got some thoughts on this.
As a game designer, I mean, I haven't really had to work on anything that had that problem to solve. I worked on games for kids, and it was all puppies and unicorns and all that shit. So,
did they have Killmonger haircuts on these puppies?
Right, man. Especially the unicorns.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
You can just watch the mane,
Killmonger,
the mane and flip it over.
Killmonger, Paw Patrol.
Wait.
I don't know.
Did Jamie work with you and Harlan?
Rubble seems like a good candidate for that.
So Jamie did work at Energize.
I did,
but me and Jamie never worked at the same time. I was there for Jamie's interview, and we took him out to dinner at Bennigan's, I believe, actually.
It was
yeah, took him to
Man,
Bennigan's.
that's a deep cut right there.
And then before Jamie actually moved to Louisiana, I left.
So he's coming. I gotta get out of here.
So the reason I bring that up is because what I know about the story of that game studio that you guys worked with is that it was very Afrocentric in there. So like, what was like? Because I feel like for most game developers, that's probably the opposite of what happens to everybody. So like, what was that like for you being thrown into that environment and being able to see, especially because I know what game y'all were working on and how heavily important or how heavily that relied on African American culture at that time. Like, what did you learn? Was there anything interesting that you took away from all
that? I mean, it was definitely like not the norm for like the way video game development experience has gone for me. Like, it's the only studio that's been like that for me. But I don't know, like
either for better or worse.
Yeah, I mean, nothing against the studio. That the way it was run is completely different than the content they were creating. But it was not my favorite place in the world. But I mean, the connections that I made with the people there were all great. I don't know, like I had both very positive experience working in that environment and very negative experience. But the negative was more
business side
stuff. Yeah, more of the business.
That was business. Jamie's like, show no fear. Show no fear.
So I agree. Like, so to me, the difference from working at Energize to working at when I worked at the places I've worked in Austin was like, and also I don't know, I think this may have been like also the fact that most of us were in any other gaming place, we'd have all been junior programmers. But we were not doing junior level work. We were making the game. It was, and so we relied on each other heavily, right? Like, and we were really tightly knit. Like, it was, so I don't know if this is a thing everywhere, but like, Black people have a tendency to get offended if you go into their place, like their house or somebody's house, and you don't say hi. Like, I don't know if that's everybody, but like there's a what, you didn't say hi to me. Like, if you go to like a Christmas party, like, and you don't go say hi to everyone, yep. Like, somebody's gonna look at you and be like, hey, "Did you say hi to me?" Like, that's that's a thing, right? Yeah, and honestly, Energize had the same vibe. Like, you had to, like, you walk in, no matter what time you walked in, you tapped up everybody who's there. What's up? Hey, what's going on? Hey, see you. Like, so it had like this. It had this Black family feel to me, even though everybody wasn't Black. It still had like that. That was just the feel it had to me, and like that, I never got that anywhere else. Like, I could still. Like, I'm still clearly friends with these people today.
Somebody granny up in the break room. Come on in, baby. You want some green? Let me get you a plate, baby. Come on in here.
But what you say that, but like going over people's houses for crawfish boils was like normal. Like, that was like when it was that season, like going over, that was a thing. Like, and so, or going to people's parties, the Super Bowl parties and stuff. I don't know. I've never people at work now and after that tended to be just my work friends, not actual friends. Like, I don't know if that was a change in me or not, but like the environment was totally different, and it was just like that was expected. That was like, you come in and you say hi to everybody, like you say what's up, like or we're gonna look at you like, when did you get here? Like, did you come in and get straight to work? Who does that?
I'm a little mad at you right now because you just made me realize why I do that every morning. Like, I go to work and I do a lap around the office and say hi to everybody before I go to my desk and start working.
Because you inherently think it disrespectful not to do, because you've been trained to do
wild.
That. Yeah, you didn't know you got that from your family.
But like at work though, like I understand doing it with family and with, like, if I'm at your place, yeah, I'm gonna do it there. But I didn't realize I was doing it subconsciously at work still. That just blew my mind. I'm sorry. Okay.
But sorry. Yeah, so I guess to go back to kind of, all right, so what do we want to do different for this year, or what do we want to do better at DreamCon, Gen Con, if we go BlurryCon? What do we want to do with these places, or even on stream, or what do we want to do better this year to improve, to get to move up a little bit off of the plateau that we say we are on? What do we think we could do different this year, just to, in our little bubble that exists, to move the needle a little bit? What could we do?
Let's go start a rap beef with a like Critical Role or something.
We just talked about how you rap.
I'm just saying, it's worked thus far as a strategy for other companies. I'm saying,
yo, Matt Mercer is like,
hey, and I can get ghostwriters. That would be bad for them.
I'm gonna pull my own weight. I'm gonna pull my own weight.
I said could.
No. I'm with you. You bring some of them dudes in, man. Let's do this.
Yeah, I'm not right, but I can perform though. I'm good.
But yeah, like I think is do we look for more cons? Do we bring in?
I think networking is big.
Agreed. I think honestly I think last year we fell back on that a bit. I think we did a better job in previous years. I'm going to allow you to point at yourself because you're the better of me and you. I pointed. I'm not a great networker, but I can improve there too. Like we have whole groups with Everrealm. I don't know if they're still podcasting.
I think their podcast is done releasing episodes last time.
Okay, but I like there's groups that we're in Discord that I never go in. And it's not even that hard to network. Just see what they're doing, say what's up. So I think that's key. This is my Black History Month resolution. Network better. What else?
I know we've spoken about this privately, but I think at some point we might want to actually look into trying to do our own event. And then maybe instead of having to go out to so many people to try and network, make an event like the one we want to see. Instead of trying to make all these events that we're going to, trying to cause right, exactly.
It could be precious.
Sorry, I just caught a stray from Dreekin in the chat. Forget you, Dreekin. I'm gonna be in the chat more often now. I have to because I've been letting y'all down. I'm saying it live on air.
I'm more of a lurker in y'all's chat. Like I'll go in and I'll lurk, and every now and again I'll chime in, but I'm just kind of behind the scenes. No, I'm not even behind the scenes. Just
so okay, networking with our own con or something to bring people to us. I think is both very good ideas. Corbin, Nikki, we lurking as well.
You.
I understand.
No barbecue at Jamie's house. Jamie's in Chicago. There's no good barbecue there.
Ooh.
I know. Yeah. I've been there. I said it, Jamie. Yeah, I've been to Green Street Meats. It's not good. It's not good.
I don't care what nobody says. Chicago deep dish pizza. That's I know there's a war between what's the bet New York versus Detroit versus Chicago. Chicago deep dish pizza is it, man. Is it?
It's pretty good.
You can't eat it every day. That's not healthy.
I think that's all pizza.
Even eating it once a month is not healthy. Yeah, it's okay. Okay, that's fine. Drinking it's a casserole, it's a pie. I don't care what you want to call it. First time I had that, I was like, "This is the truth right here. This is the truth." Now, give me a Chicago deep dish. Throw some brisket on that joint. We talking.
Did we just come up with a restaurant?
Can we hold our event at the deep dish brisket restaurant?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Hey, don't get me started. Hey, I used to have this idea about this joint called the Tavern, which was like this, it was a old school tavern, but came to serve great food, and you play some D&D, off on the side, and maybe there was an orc attack or something every now and again. I don't know, but hey. Bad for business.
So D&D restaurant. That's a thing we could do in 2024.
Right. I'm not going to run it.
Not give me the brisket.
That's what happened.
Give me the brisket. There you go. I like it. I'm sold. I'm sold, but I'm not going to be. I won't be the one smoking the brisket. That takes too much time.
Okay. I definitely, us doing our own con has definitely been a thing that I know Turner has mentioned, and I know we've mentioned it as because as some may know, DreamCon used to be in the Dallas area, and they moved to Austin, and may move again next year. Yeah, bringing that type of something with that type of energy to Dallas again is definitely on our minds.
Wait a second, Dr. Death, when you get here, hey, how you doing? Sorry, I just noticed the name in the chat. Hi, Dr. Death.
So like I said, what else? Like, I don't know, it's just improvements, or what do we think we can do to make this year a better one in that respect?
I was thinking y'all could do something. I mean, and it might stretch people too thin. I mean, you got Turner right now is straight rubber band right now, but like satellite shows. Even if they're of the one-off variety or limited series like you see now in television, shooting some one-off shows. It's like, all right, we're doing this. This has 4 episodes, then it's done. But do it with different, try to shoot it out with bringing different people in, whether that's patrons, stuff that y'all have already done. Where you brought in members from other podcasts and other shows, patrons and things like that, but just different. And when I say satellite shows, things of it might be of a different variety or hit a different genre or something. So it's still adjacent to the show, but it's not, hey, look, we're playing D&D again. Because maybe somebody else finds something else interesting. I mean, not me. I don't have time, but just saying somebody else might.
So you're saying not necessarily D&D's stuff. You're talking like other type of content?
Yeah, I mean, it can be. I mean, like it can be, anything that can tie back into the show. It doesn't necessarily have to be D&D.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
And I mean, yeah, I'm glad you see what I'm saying, because I don't.
Yeah, I think any kind of other content that would tie back into the show that may or may not be D&D related. And I think we're doing some of that. I think this February and March are going to be different for us than they have been in the past. We're doing more things that include members of the cast, but aren't necessarily strictly our content, right? Like us doing the 2-shot, right? Like it included members of the cast, but wasn't necessarily our thing, I guess, in the sense of that you DM'd it, you came up with the idea, like it and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't strictly us, and I think that lends itself to networking as well. And so yeah, definitely tune in, everybody, for the stuff we have. This is just a plug for the stuff we have coming up. Windows doing another 1-shot in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. The 26th. Yeah, and we definitely have content for the next 2 months. That is going to be some cool stuff from different groups who aren't necessarily us, people of color, women, marginalized groups. So we have lots of new content coming up that isn't our normal stuff. So let us know for sure. Give us feedback on how y'all like some of that stuff, because I had a blast with the murder mystery. So I'd like to know how y'all felt about it. Go ahead.
With the murder. I was gonna say so one of the things is we know that Dungeons and Dragons is a huge, if not the driver of TTRPGs. You know, everybody takes their cues generally from Dungeons and Dragons. It spawned off a whole, just it was the original and it spawned off pretty much everything that's out there now. And you're looking at, they have made more of an effort, and I'm definitely not shilling for Hasbro. Sorry. But Wizards of the Coast, whatever, they've made more of an effort to be more inclusive, more diverse with their game. And I think they're ramping that up for 1D&D, whatever you may think about that. And so I think I think you'll see another push when that comes out to where people, again, like I said, it just becomes commonplace to see it. And you get to a point where it's expected. And that's where we need to read. It's expected and it's done. So obviously that's the game that most of us choose, what we're centered on. And I think that's going to have a lot to do. I don't know when they're going to release this year, whenever they're going to release that, but hopefully, you're looking at the artwork as a big thing, because that was always a big thing for me, is the artwork. Finally getting to see, hey, that dude looks like me with a lot more muscles. It's like cool. Yeah, I'm not gonna get in the weight room, but I'll toss some dice.
Yeah, and so we don't have a whole lot of time, but I want to touch on this and see where we land on this. This is not necessarily something I expect us to do or anyone to do in the next, and I know there's people already doing it, but in the next year, I don't know exactly when stuff is coming out. What about whole games and whole systems made by people of color? And
yeah, I want to do Wagadu, Chronicles of Wagadu. I don't even know how to say it.
Yeah, I know about that one, and and I just wonder if I want to see more of that. I what is that something y'all would be interested in seeing more of? I mean,
so are you talking about trying to make one or just trying to play one?
Either or, and more people making one, not even just us making one, or not just us. Not, I don't know. I wouldn't mind,
because I'm just saying
y'all can make it. I ain't got time.
I know that, but I'm interested in seeing more people go into that arena, right? More games being created by people of color, or even highlighting games by people of color. Because I may, it may just be my ignorance. There may be plenty of them that I just don't know about, right? I have no clue.
Let's start doing one shots off of those.
Let's. I think that's a good idea. Find right now.
I want to play the Corrupted. I had a good ass time playing Corrupted with that man.
Yeah. We know Navarre made a system as well. So yeah, finding games. Maybe that's something we do. Something we can do better. Finding games made by people of color and playing those games. And yeah, that's a good idea. So to wrap up, any final thoughts from anybody that anybody wants to offer? No, Jamie, you're going first. You actually talked this time.
I did.
Twice.
Words. I'm proud of that. Just contributing all I can for you guys.
True ally right here, yep. Jamie. I love it. To be fair to everyone, or I don't know if this is fair to everyone, but just that had nothing to do. I don't know why you started that way. Just a fun fact that my cousin Dan played games with Jamie for 10 years and thought he was black the whole time.
I can hear Dan's discovery right now in my mind.
It was so funny. Because I showed Dan. I showed Dan Jamie without his beard, because Jamie had shaved his beard, and I was like, "Yeah, look, Jamie shaved his beard. This is crazy," because I had never seen Jamie without a beard. And he looked at me and goes, "Jamie's white?" I was like, Wait, what? I was trying to show you
like,
his beard, not the fact that yes, Jamie's white.
So, that was a lot of black people's reaction in like the early 80s when they found out Michael McDonald was white.
Michael McDonald.
So I want to say that I want to say that, you know, at least in the mind of my cousin, Jamie was black for a whole decade.
Oh man.
I hate you drinking. Why?
Terrible.
Anyway, final thoughts other than what the hell drinking's talking about.
I didn't even want to comment on it. Didn't even want to speculate.
I'm just mad at the fact that I know I'm going to keep that Michael McDonald comment in my back pocket until it's good to go again. I'm definitely going to call him Michael McDonald in the future because that's who he is in the chat. Yeah. Ooh. We congratulations to D&D fandom as a whole. I think the last year and a half has been really good, and I want to congratulate all of us. We did it. We actually made the changes that we set out to try and make, or at least some of them. You know, maybe like you said, it's progress. You know, slow progress is better than no progress, is what I've heard before. So, you know, just yay.
Wendell, final thoughts?
Yeah. Oh, my bad. Yeah, everything y'all said. No, I said no. I mean, you got a lot of good stuff going on, man. Y'all, you know, like I said, y'all should be proud. Like Jazz just said, y'all should be proud of what you've done. The fact that y'all been able to do this over a period of years, when most D&D campaigns don't last anywhere near that long, you know, and the diversity that y'all have, the humor y'all are able to inject, the fandom, you know, interacting with, you know, the patrons, and everybody's kind of like fam. It ain't really, hey, these are our fans. It's like, these are our fam, you know. So and hey, and for me, y'all let me be a part of this and contribute, you know, here and there and whatnot. All I can say is dope. Hope to continue doing it and watching the show get bigger and bigger, which I have no doubt that it will. You know, like I said, and I am down for that rap battle against Critical Role.
Critical Role.
I'm 100% in on that. Let's do this.
I might tweet. I guess we're not on Twitter no more. I might say something about that.
You know who I bet would do it? You know who I bet would do it? I said Critical Role, but I bet you Dungeons and Daddies would do it.
Oh, hey,
I would actually prefer that because I even though I haven't listened to Dungeons and Daddies, I know their other work, and I'm a fan. So
hey, let's bring. It don't make no difference to me. You know, I was in 2 hip hop crews back in the day, so you know, I mean, I can.
I was quoting one of y'all songs like last week.
Oh yeah, which one?
Let's Love and Let You.
Okay, yeah. I figured that might be the only one you know, right?
That's the only one I remember. Actually, at some point, Anthony gave me a copy of that album. So
okay, all right.
Not Turner. Anything?
Not Turner.
I got nothing. No.
Nothing. You've been great. I've enjoyed your comments thus far.
Yep.
Your presence is always welcome. I definitely, my closing thoughts, I definitely agree. Like, the last year and a half has been really good. Last years on this podcast have been amazing, and I definitely want to send an appreciation out to Turner for honestly letting us be us on the podcast. And not necessarily just not pushing us in any kind of direction or anything with our humor. Like, I know there's plenty of times where he has no clue the jokes that we make, and he just let it stays in the show. He just leaves it in there, and it's a thing. It's you know, and so I definitely appreciate having that space to feel like I can play, you know, a Black Panther clone and play it the way I want to, and you know, make him have to make up a bunch of, you know, West African names and try and make him do his best West African accent. Like it's, you know, and him just rolling with it, you know, like you know,
Better watch yourself, Baba.
yeah, and him, you know, having the, you know, just creating that experience for me, like I said, my brother's always been my DM, so to actually sit down and be at a table with him was amazing. So having enough care, I guess, to want to create not just a moment for his show, but a moment for me is it was just pretty dope for me. And so yeah, just giving, like, just being on a show to being able to like be me, right? Learning how to do that in a podcast setting is different because that's always like D&D's always been comfortable for me. I've always been able to be myself. So to be able to transfer that to a new DM and still feel comfortable, still be able to be myself, and it's been great. So definitely want to commend him for that, because a lot of this that I'm doing, like hosting this, is completely out of my comfort space. So the fact that he trusts me with a lot of this stuff is great as well. So like, and a lot of that's what it's about, is giving people of color, marginalized groups, room to be themselves within, you know, the box of entertainment, the D&D or whatever it may be. So I think Turner's done a really good job of that. So appreciation, kudos.
No doubt.
Because honestly, the first one of these was his idea. Yeah. Or like, well, it was he asked. It was his. Is like, we hadn't thought about it. Like, he's like, hey, do y'all want to do anything for Black History Month? Like, yes, we do. We absolutely want to do something D&D related for Black History Month. And so we're like, yeah, that's great. Like, that you would even think to open up the platform you're creating for that, right? Like, that's so yeah, so he's been amazing, and it's been an amazing time.
I just want to take a second to piggyback something you were saying in that kudos to Turner. And I want to say thank you, because it was something that I didn't realize I needed, which was not just allowing us to be ourselves in all of this, but encouraging us to be ourselves in all of this. And that goes back to, like, you know, the genesis of Fate as a character, and me, you know, coming to him and immediately anticipating him shooting the idea down of a black elf character in the game, and him being like, what the fuck is wrong with you? No, get your ass out there and you go be a black elf in front of everybody. Have fun. Bye. Get out of my face. Like him, like almost shaming me into being myself that much more. Like I appreciate him for that, and I really, I don't know if I can actually truly say exactly what I feel about it, but just being able to, like you said, be truly comfortable with who I am and my character and how I want to play this game with him, and just thanking him for making that space available for us. I thank you.
Yeah, because a lot of that
he's not here, so never hear it.
Yeah, because a lot of this it built confidence. Like, you know what I mean? Like, us doing a DreamCon panel was partially because of this. Like, and so it builds confidence to step into other arenas. And so I'm truly appreciative of the experience. If it were to end today, which I hope it doesn't, I would be very grateful. I'd be very grateful for all of it. You know,
so I just got back. If this shit ends today, I'm gonna be upset.
But on that note, I think we're going to close it up. This has been our representation check-in for 2024. We got plenty of content coming up. Please tune in for and tell people about it. Some of this stuff is awesome.
Oh my god!
Oh man!
Yes.
Oh, we started episode 1 of season 4. I cried, like laughter cried.
Oh,
okay. I got out of my
seat.
No. There's pictures of it in the Discord. I got out of my seat and I was if the door had not been here, I would have exited my closet and been somewhere else laughing. It was absolutely
Wait, hold on, back up. Drinking, are you for real right now? With the saw Fate before the Lord of the Rings?
Well, yeah, because y'all was doing this way before that show came out.
You existed.
But I'm just saying, like, for that to be the first black elf he saw in media anywhere is like crazy to me. Like,
shoot, where else has there been black elves? I guess
I hadn't thought about it. Yeah, but I'm saying, but he's right. It's rare, but I just hadn't thought about it. The 2000 D&D movie with
who was
Marlon Wayans.
Was Marlon Wayans an elf in the movie?
No, he was not. There was a black female elf who was like a
warrior. Oh yeah. That's right. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. I'm trying to purge that from my mind.
Yeah, most people did. And she was light skinned, so we may not notice.
True that.
But on that note,
another black first. That was the thing that threw me off. I was like, holy shit! Like I've never even. We do not count trout. Okay.
All right, Driz is always black to me. But anyway, we're getting out of here. That is our show. We appreciate y'all coming out. Make stream in now. I don't have the button.
That was rude. You gonna cut off me singing the outro? Those saxophone singers be having me.
Give me the loop. He let us name the show after a rap song.
He did.